Hi, my name's Todd Tabor, and I'm the Trends Editor with the North American Hardware and Paint Association. The past 18 months have challenged every retailer to adapt to new customer demands, shifting supply chain realities, and new health mandates. One of the most important factors to emerge is contactless commerce. How can you ensure your business still upholds customer service and your mission statement when contact is limited? I'm joined today by Chad Ayers, owner of Allendale True Value. Chad saw firsthand how relying on the status quo during the COVID-19 pandemic could be a dangerous gamble. We'll talk to Chad about how contactless commerce positioned him to serve customers better than ever before and how it's emerged as a true pillar for his business. Chad, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Todd. Great to see you.
It's good to see you again. I had the opportunity to visit your store about 2 weeks ago and meet your staff, and it was a great operation. So thank you for that opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. It was good to meet you guys as well.
Chad will be on the cover of the October edition of Hardware Retailing. So if you want to make sure that you're one of the first to read that article and everything else in the October issue, head to hardwareretailing.com/subscribe. I just wanted to ask you a few questions today, Chad, about what the past 18 months have been like for you in your business. But I wondered if we could start by just having you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, sure. So Chad Ayers from Allendale True Value. We built our store back in 1998. The family purchased a hardware store just about a quarter mile west of this store, just a small little 5,000 square foot store, and then had a vision a few years later that the community could use a little bigger store. Built the new store. We have about a 20,000 square foot store today, but with the steel beams in place now here in the last couple of weeks, we're adding on to our store, which will get us up to about 30,000 square feet here in Allendale, Michigan. Our community is growing quite largely. We have a local college in the community, so the opportunity for growth has been here, and we're super excited about that.
Sounds good. I was wondering if we could maybe go back to the earliest days of COVID-19. When did you first know that this would be a big disruptive event?
Well, in all honesty, it started for us late February, mainly because masks were such a high demand and really became a big challenge for us to not just consume and sell, but watching the pricing of just the masks alone kind of brought this to surface for us right away, where we started to feel the impact of the conversation with how the consumer was going to maybe perceive this was more mid-March and late March when things started to slowly shut down. We got to the heat of things in April when obviously our governor and our state started to really shut down and limit certain retailers from being able to sell, which increased the traffic in our store substantially. It increased the demand for certain products and cleaners, masks, PPE, that kind of thing significantly, and really heightened the awareness of we have something truly on our hands here.
Definitely. I was wondering, what were customers asking for in the earliest days of COVID-19? Not just safety products and PPE, but were they asking for special services or a way of procuring products that you hadn't yet offered?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as we talk about e-commerce and we talk about contactless service, you know, our consumer, there was a subset of our consumer that was very frightened by what was occurring. And so the early on was not just, we knew we had to implement something quickly, but even when it wasn't implemented on the early end, we were still getting people that were asking us to bring things to their car. They would pop the trunk or lift the hatch and ask us to put it in there. Some folks asked us to wipe things down before we put it in there. It was very interesting on the early end to see everybody's different, and we had to respect everybody was in a different place with this thing. Everybody's different approach to what they heard or felt or saw and how they wanted us to adapt to their need to make them feel safe.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could answer, what does contactless commerce mean to you?
Yeah, so contactless commerce for us was it's not just the ease of being able to sell the product to the consumer. It's the whole process from I see it online, I buy it online to it's in my vehicle now or at my doorstep. So we knew from the beginning that, especially with people's awareness or fear of what was going on, that we had to figure out creative ways to deliver things that made them feel safe. So we did things like put gloves on our staff in certain scenarios where it made sense. Clearly, the PPE on the early end, we made sure when we were delivering or making contacts with consumers that we were wearing masks or protective gear to make them feel safe if they so desired. But the whole contactless piece is just being able to, from start to finish, from the order itself to the delivery of the product, making sure the consumer felt like it was a safe process.
So contactless commerce really is another facet of overall customer service.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And we had to get there quickly. It wasn't a matter of, learn this and it's this new way of life or business, even though it is today. But we had to get there quickly. It wasn't something we were forecasting, hey, in 6 months, we'd like to be here. It was, hey, in 6 hours, we need to be doing this. So, yeah.
You and I talked about that when I visited the store. Independents are in such a greater position to be able to pivot and make those split-second decisions rather than a big box store where it might be a chain of approval and testing things. And you were just able to sort of make your own decisions and go out there and serve customers as needed.
Yeah, it was still a challenge, obviously, with not knowing. There was so much gray in this whole thing with, what was right, what was wrong, what was the order, what was not the order by the government or the health department. But we just did our best to make sure that if customer A wanted X to feel safe, we would deliver that. If customer B wanted Y to deliver, right, to feel safe, we would deliver that. So we really tried to do our best to adapt to whatever that particular customer felt they needed to feel safe and deliver that.
So you stand out to me because a lot of retailers during COVID-19 started to explore how e-commerce could be a true pillar of their business and a new revenue stream for their business. But you had already dabbled in e-commerce. I was wondering if you could sort of go through your history with e-commerce and how it's been a part of your business.
Yeah, so I've been in the industry for about 25 years. Obviously, I can't be that old, so I had to be somewhat involved with tech at some level. So years ago, probably all of 10 years ago, we did an attempt to run at doing our own website, our own e-commerce, and it was clunky and tough to manage. And clearly the trajectory of e-commerce and online purchasing was rising significantly. And we just couldn't keep up. We couldn't keep up with updates and fulfillments and tax rates and everything that was going on. So when we went to True Value year prior to the pandemic, we had launched our first round of e-commerce sales with True Value Corporate. So we had a program that allowed us to sell our True Value branded products only. And we were working with a company that had put that together for us. We did not see live inventory. And again, we were limited to just the products that we purchased from True Value. The connection was sort of limited. It was doing an occasional sale or two. It was kind of fulfilling its purpose. However, we knew it could do better. Fast forward to that April time period, and that same platform launched significantly. So right now we're April 2020. We're still on the same platform that we had just done okay with. Still had the limitations of not seeing line of sight of inventory, only allowing us to sell the True Value products. That created a lot of headaches. That created headaches with our consumer because we show we have cleaners or PPE available, but we truly didn't. So it created a lot of frustration to our consumer that they would call or they would come in and say, well, I was on your website and it shows you have them. It didn't necessarily show stock, but it showed we carried it. So the consumer just assumed we had it. So there was a lot of frustrations on the front end. We had to turn a lot of products off. We had to adapt quickly to making sure the consumer wasn't frustrated. Put up a lot of disclaimers, whether it be on the website or in store, to say, hey, just a heads up, please call if you really want to assure this item's here. And then we launched the newest platform, which we're living in today, which is called Easy Commerce. And that has been amazing. That is a direct connection to our inventory. So now our consumer has line of sight of our inventory. It's all products, so it's not just True Value products. We're a relatively large store, and we carry a lot of things that we don't necessarily buy from True Value because it's not in their programs. And that line of sight is now available to our consumer as an instant inventory. If we sell it out the door right now, momentarily the inventory will be updated on that platform.
That seems so important to me. Live inventory updates, or at least quick inventory updates. That's a customer thing. That's an employee operational thing. So that seems hugely important.
Yeah.
I was wondering, what did customers say about e-commerce back in the earliest days of COVID-19 when you were able to meet with them or chat with them on the phone? What were they saying about your e-commerce possibilities?
Again, I would say more from the platform. There was on the early days of COVID, right? It was frustrating. It was frustrating because we couldn't fulfill certain orders that, again, with that lack of line of sight of inventory, a customer today is usually quicker to complain than give praise. But so we were taking some heat there, and we felt it. We knew we had to be there. We knew we wanted to be there, but our presence there was confusing the consumer. And so it was great to be able to leap into, late 2020. And now, pushing almost a year later, the new platform, which we're consistently getting stronger with on daily basis, updating items, updating the site, updating the look, the features, etc. Daily, we're getting better at doing that, because of the feedback that the consumer was giving us on the early end.
What would your business have looked like in the past year, 18 months without e-commerce? If it was strictly brick and mortar, come into the store and find what we have.
Yeah, great question. Honestly, where we're at today, I think we advanced by several years because of the platform we're in today. If I were to take both those platforms away, that the one that really helped us learn what we needed and the one where we now know how we're implementing, I think we add all kinds of frustration to our staff. We have upset customers. We can't service our community the way it needed to be serviced during that pandemic the same way, period. We can't. We got to the end of 2020 with, and we talked a little bit about our transaction counts, and we got to the end of 2020 with reduced hours, with reduced staff because we were under mandates to try to run our business as efficiently as we could, to have less people in here. And it took every ounce of every employee to give everything they had to get us through 2020. And there is not one employee we look back at, whether they're with us today or not, that we say, they didn't give us what they had to get us through that. It took everybody. So you take out the e-commerce platform, which made us more efficient, made us stronger, made us a better retailer, and you put all of that on phone calls or running out to cars and asking questions or any other ways that we would have had to have done business to try to work through that pandemic. And everybody is under stress. Everybody is under pressure. And it was already enough stress and enough pressure, right? So I am extremely glad and we feel super blessed that we did have the e-commerce to get us through it.
I was wondering if you were talking to a retailer who was considering e-commerce for their business but was maybe hesitant, what would you say to them?
A, it's a necessity. We have to be there. B, use a partner that I can tell you doesn't give you the headaches that we had on the early end. Make sure you have line of sight of inventory. but then go do inventory on your store so your inventory is right. Um, the have to be there piece, it's part of our future, whether we like it or not. And I don't care what your generation is of ownership, young, middle, or at the end of stage of ownership. You're older or been in the industry quite a while. E-commerce is an important piece, and really it's kind of what's going to keep us relevant. I think personally, hardware stores are going to be relevant forever, because I don't want to wait 24 hours or in 2 days to get my toilet flapper if my toilet breaks, right? I need to fix my toilet. So I think the brick and mortar piece will always be relevant for hardware, as long as we always carry the right product mix to make sure we're able to fix customers' problems. But the e-commerce supports not just the contactless piece, but it also supports the family that maybe doesn't, they're single income and they only have one vehicle and a kid's needing to borrow the vehicle, and now we can deliver. It supports the, hey, I'm at work, I'm on lunch, I'm ordering my product, I want to swing through the store and pick it up on my way home. It makes them more efficient because time is important, time with family, time at home. And I think we proved a lot of that through COVID as well. How many people really appreciated that time together that we were kind of forced into. I think that the opportunity for us to help people have more of that time because we can efficiently run our business because of e-commerce says a lot about the importance of it.
Yeah, definitely. Well said. Well said. All right. Well, then this takes us to the homework portion I gave you. I was wondering, Chad, if you could list maybe the top benefits that e-commerce and contactless commerce in general brought your business since March 2020, when COVID-19 really began disrupting retail.
Yeah. Top benefits. I think the number one was the safety aspect, the consumer feeling safe shopping. Because again, I'm going to go back to the respect of that our team had for everybody. We didn't care where you sat, fearful of this or not, mask, no mask, vaccine, no vaccine. Our team has respected everybody's opinions and levels at all levels. And so if there was fear of contracting, because again, on the front end of this, we didn't know much about it, right?
Right.
And so I think the number one piece that we got out of this was the safety and the ability to create a safe environment, safe transaction for the consumer. That's number one. We saw a sales lift. So the importance of having e-commerce proved the sales opportunity for us. There is undoubtedly a subset of these customers that bought online that never shopped our store before. They found us because of the online piece. The other piece would be opportunities to see what we can do in the future. I talked about kind of advancing us a few years. We really feel like as soon as we went live with our easy commerce platform and inventory was online, and it really changed the trajectory of where we think we could go. We think there's a whole different subset of customer out there that we haven't tapped into. And we proved that. We proved that with some of the sales we saw from COVID. But we think there's a whole nother generational or just consumer period that wants the convenience of online shopping. We want to deliver that. So we're always, we had a big meeting yesterday about how we're going to continue to market and drive traffic to the site, because there's a subset of customer that just wants the simple convenience of online shopping, and we want to deliver that.
That's nice. Well, I wondered if there's anything else you would want to say about contactless commerce and maybe about e-commerce in general that you would want other retailers to know about.
Yeah, I think we proved, we proved you have to be there. Yeah. The contactless piece is not just important now with the pandemic, but don't just think of it as contactless. Think of it as convenience to the consumer. And again, respecting the fact that, a lot of people work a lot more hours than they used to, or in a lot of cases, it's a dual income family. So both mom and dad work. Well, there's nothing better for that family to do than get home and have dinner together, right? So the last thing they want to do is make a trip that's going to take an hour and a half out of their day to go down to the hardware store or a home improvement center to get what they need to take care of what they're going to maybe fix after dinner or on a Saturday or whatever. So anything we can do to make that simpler, more convenient for the consumer is what we want to try to live into, because life is fast paced, faster than we've ever seen. We consume faster, we get news faster, we judge quicker. Like everything in life is faster than it used to be. So I think we need to stay up with those times and be able to deliver quick, convenient, quality, high level of service and shoppability for the consumer.
Well, Chad, I think that brings us about to the end, but I just wanted to thank you for your time and being able to tour your store in person and see how e-commerce really is a true pillar of your business now and for the days ahead. It was really an honor. So I thank you for your we wish you the best of luck and best of luck as well.
Yeah, we appreciated the time, you guys coming down. It was good to meet you. Really, honestly, opened up an opportunity to kind of visit what this last 18 months did look like and what it would have looked like without it. So appreciated the opportunity to really think about that and kind of share some of those thoughts with our team.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. Again, Chad will be the cover story of the October issue of Hardware Retailing. To make sure you're one of the first people who gets a look at that story, everything else in the October issue, head to hardwareretailing.com/subscribe. Now we're joined by Epicor, who are leaders in creating industry-specific software solutions to help retailers like you serve customers seamlessly. Learn how Epicor has pivoted to help retailers ensure contactless commerce is a safe, viable component of their business today and in the years to come. Welcome, Epicor.
Hello, my name is Ruben Murado, and I'm the Director, National Accounts for our retail sector. My team and I manage the co-op and distributor partnerships we have both in the US and Canada, as well as the relationships we have with our channel influencers. Epicor provides innovative point-of-sale solutions to independent retailers in markets we serve. Certainly key to Epicor are the markets represented by the host of this session, the NHPA. The topic I was asked to speak to all of you today is on contactless commerce. I should start by defining what contactless commerce represents. Most of you would likely think of e-commerce as buying products through the internet. You might also think of payment. For example, the use of credit and debit cards where clerks are no longer physically handling the card. I find that people often forget about going paperless. An example of this could be no longer printing paper receipts or statements. Over the next few minutes, I'll get a bit more granular in each area. First of all, none of what I'm about to share is new. Contactless commerce has been in place for years. But of course, the pandemic hit, and guess what? Contactless commerce went from nice to have to need to have. Or at least it really helped retailers deal with how consumers had to or wanted to shop to keep safe. Let me break down e-commerce into two distinct areas: business to consumer and business to business. In business to consumer, or B2C, it all starts with buying online. Buying online then has different options, such as buy online, ship to home, buy online, pick up in store, and then a variation of ship to store, maybe providing a value-add service such as assembly before delivering to a home. With business to business, or B2B, the key difference is the consumer would be considered a charge or house account, such as a contractor that you might bill monthly. So the option would be buy online, but bill on account. The rest of the options are similar, such as buy online, ship to business, buy online, pick up in store, and of course, buy online, but to deliver to the business. Typical for B2B commerce is providing these house accounts with a customer portal where they can place their order with you 24/7, being, of course, able to see what their special pricing is, just as if they were physically in the store in front of you. And of course, having other bank-like features, such as being able to see their account balance, reprint invoices, and even make a payment online. With the option offered where a customer could reprint invoices or a statement if needed, some retailers leveraged the pandemic as a way to eliminate the tedious process of sending monthly statements and copies of invoices, a business practice that many retailers did away with years ago. Let's transition now to a major shift for many of you at your retail store. For those unfortunate to not be set up with a web store offering, orders were many times taken over the phone. Whether the order was placed via phone or online, pickup in store didn't always mean in the store. What it sometimes meant was pickup at curbside, where a store employee would actually bring the merchandise out to the customer's vehicle, while sometimes accepting final payment right there and then. Staying with the contactless theme, that payment was made by accepting the credit or debit card without physically handling it. So the customer inserts or taps the card, but doesn't have to enter a PIN, provide a signature, and or get a paper receipt. If customers were allowed to or preferred to walk into your store, the payment process was the same. There is one more topic that I'd like to spend a minute on, and that's mobile devices. The proliferation of mobile devices is not unique to your customers, where they likely use their cell phones to research you, products you sell, and then buy online. Mobile devices are now also critical to retailers. I mentioned the buy online and pick up curbside, including making final payment right there and then. They might also be used when making a delivery to the customer's home or business. What I should also mention is that retailers are using mobile devices to meet and engage with their customers where they are at, which is typically in the aisle. They are also great for retailers that have a large grill and patio furniture footprint, a lumber yard, a garden center, or that might be hosting a tent sale. The days of telling the customer, hold on, I have to go check my computer in the office or somewhere else, should be long over. Engagement with customers, not to mention the efficiencies created at a time when labor shortages and staff expenses are at an all-time high. If you have not deployed mobile devices in your business, I implore you to research and acquire these tools that are no longer nice to haves. And by the way, they fit in really well to the contactless commerce topic that I hope you all found interesting and helpful. Before I conclude this session, a word of caution. Items like no paper receipts does make returns more challenging. This option, like all others, should be thought through carefully. And by all means, don't do something simply because Ruben said so. So on behalf of Epicor, I'd like to thank the NHPA for hosting this session, and of course to all of you for taking the time to listen in. For more information about any of these topics or how you might acquire or deploy any of the tools I mentioned, please reach out to us at retail@epicor.com. Again, my name is Ruben Murado. Have a fantastic rest of your day.